And there was an accountability if you were caught in a lie. And it hurt. And it mattered. That was a time, now I'm going to sound like, some old fart thinking about the 20th century and the days of yore, but in which, look, it wasn't perfect, but we were generally sitting around a set of campfires in this country, America. Not everyone was included, and a lot of people were dramatically excluded. But on balance, we were all drinking from that same fountain in the United States. 22 and a half minutes, we're watching the campfire at night. Walter, Huntley and Brinkley, we're all there. Scotty Reston from Mike Royster at the Wall Street Journal. I mean, there was a community of people, highly trained, to say, here is what you need to know. Deeply contextualized offerings, by the way, because it's not just the facts. That's not what it's all about at its core. It's about how the facts live in a context. That context is everything. There's a zillion facts. Here are the ones that are presented for you. At least we had that at the foundation upon which we could really have discussions of what mattered. It's interesting. I'm at Harvard these days, and I know some historian buddies over there, and I asked one of them. I said, like, around the late, 1790, 1780, was there any term they used back then that's the equivalent of business model? And this guy, he's a historian, he searched around. Yeah, I don't think so. They called it commercial enterprise. They had some commercial words. Because, we are the only profession mentioned in the Bill of Rights, okay, for a reason. Without us, it doesn't work. It really doesn't. And we are a unique profession, but we can't be essentially the captive of large economic interests or supported by a government. We needed a business model. Now, back then, they knew Franklin, who was a great media player of his age. They're like, yeah, they sell ads in Poor Richard's Almanac. You bet, that works. And it worked for a few hundred years until it didn't. So where are we now? We have this essential profession. Without it, without what we do, informed consent, holding the powerful accountable, none of those things are operative. Really. And when 90% of the essential business model, ad sales, was taken by the monopolies of the West Coast, and Craigslist took out classifieds, and it all became digital subs, we started to enter the age of peril, real trouble. And that's already 2 decades along. You go to America now, other than the giant flagships on the coastlines, and there are only a few, in which you're meeting news deserts everywhere you go. I mean, that was once a paper with reporters, often reporters in and of the community who knew the community, bringing local news. So we're not just debating all the matters national, with actually, in most cases, no real outcome or participation fundamentally. People saying, this is your community, and I'm here to be essentially the voice of the shared.